Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I will show you how to crochet the Alpine Steps Square. This is a fun square and uses a lot of pretty colors. And for this project, you will need a 6mm J crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and the yarn I used for this project is from Lion Brand. It's called Wool Ease, and you can see all the colors here. And I did a stripe sequence of 6 colors. However, you can use as many or as little as you like. And the colors shown here are Sea Spray, Natural Heather, Violet, Dark Rose Heather, Gray Heather, and Eggplant, if you want to replicate the same color combination. So let's get started. The color sequence I chose for my square was fairly random, but I did stick to an alternating warm, cool. So I consider this blue, the cream, and the gray, the cool colors, if you will, and then these shades of purple, the warm. So I just alternated those. But I was pretty random in my color selection. So we're going to begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. To make a slip knot, wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your crochet hook, bring up that loop, and tighten onto your hook. Going to chain 4 to begin. To make a chain, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the chain farthest from our hook, we're going to work a slip stitch. Insert your hook into the chain, bring up a loop. Bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. We now have a loop. So let's move on to row 1. To work row 1, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And in the center of the ring, we're going to work a double crochet. To make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the ring, bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then we'll work a chain 2, 1, 2, then 2 more double crochets to finish off this row. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. So this is what row 1 is going to look like. It doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but as we work each row, our square will begin to emerge. Okay, so I worked 1 row of each color. So I'm going to go ahead and break my yarn. However, it's up to you how you want to switch colors. I found that it showed the stitches the best when I worked 1 row of each color. So we can go ahead and fasten off the gray or whatever color you're using. And then we'll just select another color. Again, I'm being pretty random here with my color choice. To add the new color, let's put the hook into that last stitch that we just finished. And we're going to bring the new yarn through that stitch. You can just tie that right on. Now I will say at this point, you can weave the ends in as you go if you want to save yourself a ton of work because of all the stripes and all the color changes. Or you can just weave them in at the end. I'm going to leave mine unwoven so I can show you how to do that at the end. Okay, so we have our new color. Next, we're going to insert the hook into that same stitch and bring up a loop. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to turn our work. This chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So we're going to move on to the next double crochet. We're going to work this double crochet, we're going to work a front post double crochet. To work a front post double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, bring your hook behind that post, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So it'll look kind of like that. We're going to work our first corner. This is the chain 2 space from the previous row, this hole here. To work our corner, we're going to work 2 double crochets right into the space. 1 and 2. Then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2, then 2 more double crochets. We're working this again all in this corner space. the chain 2 space from the previous row. Okay, so it's going to look kind of like this so far. Let's get a little more yarn. Then we've come to another double crochet. We're going to work a front post double crochet into that crochet. Again, yarn around hook, bring it around behind that post, bring your loop up, yarn around hook, bring through the first 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Now, to finish off this row, we're going to work a double crochet into the turning chain space. This is the turning chain from the previous row. Work it right into the space. Double crochet into the turning chain space. Okay, that's what we have so far. It's time to switch colors again. We can break the yarn and fasten off. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Okay, let's move on now to row 3. Moving on to row 3, we're going to add our new yarn. I chose the Sea Spray for my next color. Insert the hook into the stitch that we just finished, same as we did before for this purple row. Bring the new yarn through and just tie it right on. There's lots of other ways you can join a new yarn. This is the way I did it for this particular one. If you have a preferred method of joining your yarn, go ahead and do that. Okay, again, we're going to deal with these ends either as we go, or we can weave them in at the end. So we're going to insert our hook back into that stitch, bring up a loop of the new color, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. Next, this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So in the next double crochet, we're going to work a front post double crochet. Again, bring it around behind this post here. Bring your loop through, yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Next, we're going to work in these next 2 crochets that you see here. Before we get to our corner, these last 2, we're going to work a back post double crochet. To work a back post double crochet, wrap yarn around hook. We're going to do the opposite of what we did for the front post. We're going to come from, we did yarn around hook, we're going to come from behind and come right over top of that post. Wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the way we came. It can be a little tricky, so if you need to practice, that's perfectly fine. And bring it through. Yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So as you can see, we now have a front post right next to it. The back post leaves this little bar here. Makes a nice little stitchy looking bar. That's going to create our step. Okay? Next, let's work another back post double crochet into the next stitch. Again, yarn around hook, come around from behind and over top of the post. Grab your yarn and bring it through the way you came. Bring that loop up, yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So it's going to kind of look like this and start creating those steps. Okay, we've come to our corner. This chain 2 space from the previous row, we're going to work the corner the same way we did in the previous row. 2 double crochet, that's 1 and 2, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet, all in that same space. 1 and 2, just like that. Okay, next we're coming around the corner here, so we're going to work these next 2 double crochets, a back post double crochet, the same exact way we did before. Okay, so back post double crochet, back post double crochet, and then the next crochet we're going to work a front post double crochet. If you're not familiar with working the front post double crochet and the back post and you'd like to practice, I have a video for each one of these stitches if you want to go off to the side and master these stitches first. But this square is a great way to practice these stitches as well. Okay, so we worked a front post, and then we'll work a double crochet right into the turning chain space like we did in the previous rows. Okay, so our square will look kind of like this. You can already see these little steps starting to appear, hence the name Alpine Steps. Okay, let's move on to row 4. Break our yarn and fasten off, just like that. Let's pick another color. Go with this rose color here. And we're going to attach the yarn the same way. Insert your hook into the stitch, draw the yarn through, tie it right on. Again, if you have a preferred method of joining new yarn, go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's move on to row 4. To work row 4, we've already tied on our new color. Reach into the stitch, bring up a loop, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. Okay, again, this counts as a double crochet. So in the next stitch, the next double crochet we come to, we're going to work a double crochet into the stitch. Next stitch, double crochet. Next stitch, double crochet. And when you get to this 2 stitches before you reach that corner, you'll work a front post double crochet. Same way we did before. The next one as well. So it'll look like that. By working these front post double crochets on this side, if you flip it over, we're creating that same stitchy looking step that we did on the other side. Okay, we've come to the corner once again. Work 2 double crochets. Again, this is the chain 2 space from the previous row. Get a little more yarn. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, all in the same space to create that corner. In the next 2 double crochets you come to, work a front post double crochet, front post double crochet, just like that. And then in the next double crochet, work a double crochet. Next stitch, double crochet. Next stitch, double crochet. It's looking kind of like that. Work a double crochet in the turning chain space to finish off row 4. So as you can see, our square is emerging. It's looking very, very pretty. And if you've noticed, each side of the square we're working, it's starting to look like the mitered square. Each side that we're working, we're adding stitches as our square is growing. So you can kind of see how we're repeating. We're working sides, corner, sides. Okay? Let's move on to row 5. We're going to break our yarn again. Fasten that right off. Let's grab another color. Again, I was talking about how I was doing kind of a warm, cool sequence. So we'll go to this color here, the natural heather. It's kind of like a cream color or an oatmeal. So let's go ahead and attach that. The last stitch we worked, Bring the new yarn through. Go ahead and tie that off. I wanted to mention, if you do weave your ends in as you go along, you'll save yourself a ton of work. But sometimes on these more intricate squares, I like to have the control of weaving them in myself. It's totally a personal preference. It's up to you. So go ahead and insert your hook. Bring up the new yarn. We're beginning row 5. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. This counts again as a double crochet. So in each of the next 5 stitches, we're going to work a front post double crochet. Okay? Now we're starting to establish a pattern here. So you can kind of see where we're at with what side we need to be on. This side has in the corner these back post double crochets. You can see the little bars. If you flip it over, this side had the front post double crochets in the corner area. Okay, so in the next 5 stitches, we're going to work a front post double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that will leave us 2 double crochets before you get to that corner. We're always going to stop when we get to those 2 stitches before the corner because you change your stitch a little bit, okay? So it's starting to look like our picture. So for these 2 double crochets that we've come to before the corner, we're going to work a back post double crochet like we did before. Again, if you need help with these stitches, there's a video to master them. So back post double crochet, back post double crochet, just like that. Then we're going to work our corner, same exact way that we've done for every row. 2 double crochet. Let's get a little more yarn. Again, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and that will create a corner for this round, or row, excuse me. Just like that. And in the next 2, these next 2 double crochets, we're going to work a back post double crochet. As you can see, we're getting lots of practice with post stitches if you're learning how to do those. And this will show them off in a really pretty way also. Okay, we've worked 2 back post double crochets. Next, we're going to work the next 5 double crochets. We'll work a front post double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then, in this turning chain space, work a double crochet. Just like that. Okay, let's cut our yarn. Rows 4 and 5 alternating. So 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Because you want to alternate between, in these corners, back post and front post to give you that stair step look. Okay, so let's just start on the next row just to show you. So you're going to be repeating rows 4 and 5, but you're going to be adding stitches to either side. You're just going to stop before you get to those 2 stitches before the corner, and I'll show you. We'll get a start on this one. Okay, so again, we're going to be repeating rows 4 and 5 for the rest of your square. Now you can make your square as large as you want it to be. or as small as you'd like it to be. The square pictured at the beginning of this video was a 12-inch Afghan square. So insert your hook. Again, bring up the new yarn, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. Same thing we've been doing. Okay, so the back of the square is just as pretty as the front. Okay, so let's go in here. Again, this counts as a double crochet. We're repeating row 4, but we'll have more side stitches to work on. So we're just working a double crochet in each stitch before we get to those last 2 double crochets before the corner. So again, double crochets just in all these stitches. Okay, now we want to peek, see where we're at. Okay, we've arrived at these last 2 double crochets before the square. See that? Okay. So these will be front post double crochets, because again, we're repeating row 4. Just like that, and then we'll work the corner the same way. 2 double crochets, chain 2, two double crochets. There's your corner. Next, in these next 2 double crochets, we're working a front post double crochet, a front post double crochet, and then just a regular double crochet in the next double crochets to the end of the row. Just finish off the row that way. Just like that. It seems like you're doing a whole lot until your square gets bigger and bigger, and then you can really, once you get a couple rows finished, you can really just see what you need to do next. Okay, we're working that last double crochet, and then the same thing, double crochet in that turning chain space. Okay, so our square is looking like this. So I repeated row 4. We just added a couple of sides because our square is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, now I'm going to repeat row 5, and then so forth and so on. So now we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our colors. So we're going to go back to this gray. If we can find our end, there it is. So I'm just going to get you started on the next row. Again, we're repeating row 5. You're going to keep going 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 until your square is as large as you'd like it to be. Again, we're just tying this on. Our little yarn piece got stuck there. There we go. Got lots of ends now to work with. As you can see, weaving your ends in as you go is maybe a good idea. Okay, reach in that last stitch, pull up the new color. Chain 3 again. Again, we're repeating row 5. 1, 2, 3, and turn. Okay, this counted as a double crochet. So in the next double crochet, we're going to do front post double crochets all the way across. Same as we did on row 5 previously. Okay, all the way to the end here. And I'm going to get you to the first corner, and then you'll just be able to continue your square as big as you want it to be. Okay. Now you're going to again come to these last two. So just keep going to get to those last two posts before that corner. So that's where that interesting stitchy corner is going to happen. Okay, so we're at the last two again, once again. Okay, these are going to be back post double crochets. Again, we're repeating row 5 to make our square bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. Okay, and then you'll work your corner the same way and the side the same way. So our square is looking pretty awesome. We kept going with our colors. You can see a full 6 color repeat, and we've gone through rows 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I just repeated, because in this pattern you'll repeat rows 4 and 5 as large as you want your square to be. So we did a repeat of row 4, and then we started a repeat of row 5. So work rows 4 and 5, 4 and 5 until your square is as large as you want it to be. Again, because this is a mitered square, each side is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, longer and longer as the square emerges. But just keep working in the same sequence and working these corners the same way, and your square can be as large as you want it to be. When you're finished your square, you can just, obviously we have a million ends here because I didn't weave as I went along, but I just wanted to show you really quick. Just thread a tapestry needle. And here's a tip: when you're weaving in ends of stripes, make sure you weave the end in to the proper color. So we're weaving the gray end into the gray area. Just like that. If we weave this purple end, we're going to weave it into the purple area. You don't want to go into another color because you'll see the end. You'll see that end traveling through that other color. Okay? So I just wove the end in, trimmed. You can do the same for all of the other ends. So here's our square. This is the front side of it that had the front post double crochets, and then the corner had these back posts. So it makes these really pretty steps. And then if you flip it over, you can see it's just as interesting, and it makes a perfect Afghan square because it is reversible and it is just as interesting on both sides. So on the other side, you can see how these really neat stitchy ribs, if you will. So there you go. That is how you crochet the Alpine Steps Square. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the red subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.